This flare-up is significantly shorter than it would have been in the past. So previously, a flare-up for me would have lasted about 4 weeks, 5 weeks, 6 weeks. Now it's only 3 or 4 or 5 days, which is significantly better. And I'm hoping that we can get you to the same place. All chronic pain sufferers, most 99.999%, you will notice a time that you don't experience any pain. And it's often when the spotlight in your brain is focused on something else. Identifying these positive distractions can be really empowering, and utilizing them on your journey can be another very valuable tool in your toolkit. Hey everybody, nice to see you again. I hope you've all had a good week. My week, in fact, was really challenging. I have to report to all of you that I unfortunately had a flare-up on Wednesday. So I'm sure if you're watching this video, most, if not all of you, are familiar with what a flare-up is. A flare-up is basically when you experience really extreme pain symptoms. They can often come about from, no cause in particular, or very often, especially in my case, if you overexert yourself. And I think what's happened is because I have been, in recovery for so long, my pain is so much better than it was before. I think what happened is I became too overconfident. And actually on Wednesday, I went to the gym. I pushed some really heavy weights, much more than I would have done in the past. And on Thursday, wow, my pain was really, really terrible. And it really forced me to reflect. And I was forced to, implement all of the strategies that I've been talking to you about in the last couple of videos. So even though it was a really terrible experience and I'm almost over it now, I'm grateful for it in a sense that it taught me something and it made me reflect a lot, like I said. And I'm happy to report to you, this flare-up is significantly shorter than it would have been in the past. And I'm hoping that we can get you to the same place. So previously, a flare-up for me would have lasted about 4 weeks, 5 weeks, 6 weeks. Now it's only 3 or 4 or 5 days, which is significantly better. And in the past, if I had a flare-up, I would have adopted a very passive coping strategy. I would have been on the couch watching TV, miserable. Whereas now, even though I had the flare-up, I still went for a really light run yesterday. So definitely responding to things in a very different way to how I would have done in the past. So I'm sure many of you have had a flare-up and you know how debilitating it is. When you have a flare-up, and this is what I did on Wednesday, the first thing you have to remember is that a flare-up is not necessarily a sign that you have injured yourself. It's often an oversensitive nervous system, which you have potentially exerted too much. And it's kind of like that alarm system just ringing all of its bells. So if you've been in a chronic pain state like I have, like I've mentioned to you in the past, we are very sensitive people. So our nervous systems can really generate that pain response, especially if we push ourselves too hard. So the first thing I did, and the first thing I'm going to suggest you do if you ever have a flare-up, is just to remind yourself of exactly what a flare-up is. So in my case, I love all my cards. I got my cards out and I reminded myself, flare-up is a biological response when you're really hypersensitive. It doesn't indicate necessarily tissue damage. And I read myself my beautiful cards. So the first card just says, don't flare up, but don't freak out if you do. Don't flare up, so don't push yourself too hard. But if you do flare up, don't freak out if you do. And you can even stick this on your fridge, something similar if you need to. I got this from the Explain Pain book by Butler Moseley and David Butler, so I'm just giving them credit. The next card, just on the notes of flare-ups, is once you really understand what flare-ups are, they lose their power. They are shorter and not as bad. What a system. So in my case, my flare-up has only been 3 days and I'm almost out of it. So obviously I've learned a lot about pain now and I'm implementing all of these strategies. So just knowing exactly what a flare-up is, reminding yourself of those metaphors can be so incredibly helpful and so incredibly powerful. After I realized what a flare-up was, I went back and I looked at the topics that I've previously spoken to you guys about. So I identified my core fear. I worked out if that was playing a role in it. I gave myself a lot of self-compassion because the self-compassion element helps so much when you're in pain. So, I just said to myself, Alex, I know how difficult this is, my boy. I know you're really struggling with this. I'm really proud of you. Please don't forget that many other people also go through this. So if you haven't watched my videos on self-compassion or your core fear, please watch them. You can watch my video on self-compassion over here, and definitely do check out my video on your core fear. So that's also really, really helpful. So I'm really excited to talk to you today about two other things that you can add to your toolkit. Remember, together we are building this beautiful toolkit that's really going to help you with your chronic pain. And my goal is to get you as self-sufficient as possible. So this flare-up that I had now, I was really forced to bring all my tools together. And because I've been out of pain for so long, I forgot about two beautiful tools. And these tools, along with the self-compassion, along with the mindfulness, identifying my core fear, identifying my beliefs, these two tools really, really help me. So the first tool is something I'm quite passionate about, and it's the power of distraction. So when you are in chronic pain, distraction can be so incredibly powerful. So have you ever noticed that maybe you are in a lot of pain and then you help out a friend, or you read an engaging book, or you're watching a movie that you're really passionate about, or you're helping somebody, or it could be a variety of different things. But have you noticed during these times that your pain is significantly less, if not gone altogether? So there's a biological explanation for how distraction can work. And it's said that distraction actually decreases the involvement of your prefrontal cortex. And in doing so, it can basically break up that firing of the pain matrix, or the pain neurotag, so to speak. So distraction can be something really, really powerful. So for me, these last 2 days, I noticed when I was immersed in a really, really good book. I'm reading quite a good book at the moment. When I was immersed in that good book, the pain was gone completely. When I was watching a movie that I was really engaged in, the pain was gone completely. So all chronic pain sufferers, most 99.999%, you will notice a time that you don't experience any pain. And it's often when the spotlight in your brain is focused on something else. Identifying these distractions, these positive distractions, can be really empowering, and utilizing them on your journey can be another very valuable tool in your toolkit. To explain it better to you, I've got two analogies that I created to help you understand the power of distraction a little bit better, because distraction really is a wonderful tool. The first analogy is the spotlight on stage analogy. I'm going to quickly read it to you, and you can tell me what you think in the comments. So, imagine your brain is like a big theater, and there's a spotlight operator who shines a light on whatever is most important happening on stage. When you have persistent pain, the spotlight often stays fixed on that pain. It's like a character on stage constantly stealing the show, making sure everyone, including you, notices it. But when you get completely absorbed in something else, like watching a gripping movie, laughing with friends, or solving a tricky puzzle, the spotlight shifts. It points somewhere else on the stage, maybe onto the exciting plot twist or the joy of connection with others. When the spotlight moves, the pain actor is still there on stage, but it's now hidden in the shadows. It's far less noticeable. That's what distraction does. It moves your brain's spotlight away from pain, reducing how much you feel it. So that's the first analogy, which I really liked. And I think it's so true. I think when you're distracted, when you focus on other positive things, the spotlight definitely moves away from the pain. It's still there, but it's in the shadows more than anything else. So the next analogy, which I also really like, it compares pain to Wi-Fi or the internet. And I love this comparison because both pain and the internet are emergent qualities. They are a result of a combination of so many things integrating together to produce an experience. The internet or the market economy is very similar to pain. They are not linear, experiences. They are emergent qualities, beautiful emergent qualities. So here's the Wi-Fi bandwidth analogy for you. So think of your brain like a home Wi-Fi router with limited bandwidth. Pain is like a video that's constantly streaming on HD, very high quality. It hogs a lot of your brain's data, slowing everything else down and making it the main focus. Now, when you really get into something else, like gaming, working on a hobby, or helping a friend, it's like other devices in your house start downloading big files or streaming their own shows. Suddenly, your pain's video stream starts buffering or drops down to low quality because the brain is busy diverting bandwidth to these other activities. The more engaging the task, the more bandwidth it eats up, leaving less capacity for pain to stream at full volume. Sometimes it can even kick the pain stream offline for a while. So I hope you guys can integrate these two analogies, and I'm so glad that I've remembered them because distraction is so powerful. It also gives us an appreciation for the fact that pain is a conscious experience constructed in your brain. When you realize that it can be disrupted or broken by distraction, you gain that appreciation for the fact that pain is a brain output more than anything else. So that's the first thing that really helped me during this flare-up right now. So the homework for you guys, chronic pain sufferers, there will almost always be a moment when you are not in pain. Please, in the comments, tell me what those things are. Is it when you're doing a puzzle, immersed in a good book, when you're helping out a friend, even when you're experiencing a problem? Problems, definitely there. Not that we want problems, but it's not only the positive things that disrupt that pain neurotag. What is it for you that disrupts it? And put it in the comments. I'm so excited to hear what you guys have to say. If you haven't checked out my previous video on mindfulness and self-compassion in the pain experience, please do check that out. And you can also watch my video on pain and the core fear. So we are getting this toolkit stronger. You guys are really helping me too. So thank you so much for that. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, and I look forward to chatting to you soon.